I am very excited to have my next guest join us. He is a very talented artist from the UK, Alfie Templeman.
Hey dude, how's it going?
3D.
In 3D?
I can actually shake your hand.
In real life.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, we had a great chat last year.
That's when I had blonde hair.
You had, yeah.
I mean,
was that a Zoom filter? I mean,
no, it was legit. I promise you. You know, it's all real with Alfie T. But I actually cut it all off basically, like a couple of days ago.
What was the inspiration?
I was just feeling it, man. I was just like, you know what, I kind of want a mullet, but I don't really want a mullet, so I got like a halfway thing.
You could do a lot of things when you're just quarantined at home and experiment and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And here you are in the US, first proper US tour, and we spoke about that, and you were so stoked about coming here. Has it lived up to the hype so far?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that you hear about America and England are actually true, just like how big it is, how different each state is, like how long the drives are, like it's all been really good. I've really enjoyed it. It's like so different from like back at home, but I love it.
What was different that you expected, and what is what you expected?
Well, I mean, I expected the food to be massive, and it was. But I didn't expect the people to be so nice. You know, like
really.
I mean, I guess people picked up on the British accent, and they've been asking like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you traveling here? And they've like a lot of the people that we've spoken to have just been really nice, really like intrigued, and just wanted to know about what we're doing, and like they've followed me on Spotify and stuff. So it's really cute.
That's got to be wild, especially with all the digital numbers and all those things. We're doing this at the end of the year, so you get those Spotify numbers and all that stuff.
Just have that come through,
right?
Yeah, I'm getting so excited for Spotify Wrapped.
But then you don't know whether it's really resonating with a human until you go to a show.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the thing. And then when you hear that people, you know, real life, real actual people have been listening to you, and they show you that they've been streaming you, you're like, oh wow, this is actually like real stuff. It's not just a bunch of like bots or something, you know. So it's really nice to see. It's really nice to see that people are out there listening all across the world.
And it's interesting because you didn't sit still during these 22 months.
No.
It wasn't,
tried not to.
Right? You were making music. You were looking for inspiration and all those things. You released a mini album and collabs and all those things. I want to touch on the Chloe Moriando collab, but with the mini album, I feel like you had a lot of time to work on it. Did you have a lot of material to fill an album, or was it timing? Was it not the right forum or medium for you to really introduce the world to Alfie Templeman? Yeah,
it was less about kind of like the pandemic and all of that. It was more about, I wanted to, you know, when I was making that record, it never felt like it was going to be like a debut album or anything, you know. I always felt like I wanted to save that for a bigger moment and wait till I was out of a pandemic or whatever, so I could tour it, you know, do the full thing, what, you know, an artist would typically do when they released a big album. And I wanted my first album, which is finished now, like the actual thing, like the full debut album, that's done. Like I want that to be like one of those moments where it's like, you know, you go on tour, it's a real big pinpoint, and it's you know, every time I release an album, I want it to be a moment. I want it to be a flag in my life, you know, something that I can really recall. So, you know, going on tour and playing the songs and doing all the press and everything, it's like it just builds it up and makes it like a proper release, and I really enjoy doing it. So that's why I held it back a little bit.
That's really interesting, because debut albums are basically this checkpoint of everything that happened up until you created that piece of work.
Yeah.
So you have this period of time of uncertainty and all this stuff, but then there's everything that happened before that. But you're a young person, and you have the ups and downs of teenage life.
Yeah. And I'm still figuring things out, and that's the thing. That's why it's a bit different, and that's why, you know, that's why I've always tried to. I've made music because I've always just enjoyed making it. But at the same time, I think it's quite interesting, because like, there isn't too many artists my age doing that, you know, like just writing about their lives and stuff, you know. It's quite uncommon to see people at my age like putting out albums. So I think that's why people are interested, just because, you know, I'm young and I'm figuring things out, and it's a different kind of, you know, other 17-year-olds haven't gone through a pandemic kind of thing, you know, so it's a different kind of take, really, and I think that's why people like to listen in.
And not every 17-year-old has gotten into music so young.
Yeah.
You know, played shows. Opening up for significant bands like Sports Team in the UK, right?
Yeah.
All before turning 18.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird one because I mean, obviously, I listened to prog when I was like 8. So on top of that, so it's just I'm just a weirdo, really.
That's basically what I'm trying to get out of you, is to admit that you're a
absolute weirdo.
We're here with Alfie Templeman, weirdo at large.
Yeah, absolute weirdo. Yeah, thick and thin.
But the album encapsulating all the ups and downs, is it a positive take? Is it an uncertainty take? Is there a certain theme?
Yeah, it's all over the place, really. That's because, I mean, to be fair, that's what my mind's like at the moment. Every track is different, you know? There's, just as there is pop songs, rock songs, proggy songs, whatever, in the same way there's sad songs, happy songs, uncertainty, there's, you know, Wibble Wobble was like just me figuring things out. You know, it's just a big mixture of different feelings, emotions. And, you know, some of those things I've figured out now. You know, some of the things that I was singing about. Because most of the time I write songs about, like, things that I don't understand and things that are in my head that I'm trying to find an answer to, but perhaps I can't just tell myself the answer to it. So I write a song hoping that it will connect to someone else, which will then come back to me and answer whatever I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of those things are still unanswered because I'm 18 now and, like, I've still got a while to go until I can really figure out what I want to do, who I want to be, what path to go down, whatever. So it's like, you know, I'm not going to know every single thing that I've sang about yet, you know, all the things that I'm trying to figure out, but at least I know a good portion of them, and that's why it feels like the right time to put out like an album in a way.
Not everyone is very self-aware. At a young age.
I think there's a thing about self-awareness that at the back of your mind you can be self-aware, but you try not to be because it can potentially harm you. It's one of those things where there's a lot of good that comes out of being self-aware, but at the same time a lot of bad too. It's like, it's a whole different experience. You have to be brave to go into that mindset and actually approach the things that are at the back of your mind, you know? All the things that you don't really want to be honest about to yourself.
Exactly. And that's why I bring it up, because when people have been making music during this time, they've been alone in their bedrooms, in their homes, by themselves, and that's where you're most vulnerable. That's where you can be most brave, because you're honest with yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, that's why I was quite self-aware in the last couple of years, because there was no way of escaping it. Like, I had that much free time. There was no way that, you know, even for a second, that I wasn't going to go there and actually go to the back of my mind and, like, talk to myself and think, you know,
so
what's going on?
Prior to this situation, do you think that you might have been able to still approach music in this fashion, approach life in this fashion? Because I feel like you're very grounded. I actually got to hang out with your dad. He's touring with you right now.
Yeah,
right?
he's a guy. Yeah, he's a lad.
He's a solid guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have a great foundation in terms of your family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I probably would, but I don't think I would have got there until I was a bit older. So, in a way, I think I'm quite lucky to have that level of self-awareness, but at the same time, it's also kind of a curse.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I'm quite hypersensitive, I'd say, and I think that's one of the reasons why I get so hyper aware of things sometimes. It's because, like, my brain is simply made for that kind of thing. But at the same time, I think it produces good results, and, you know, it makes good music, and as long as I have music in my life, then I can kind of deal with that level of hyper awareness that's going on, because it kind of makes me realize that it's worth it in a way. That's what me and my dad always talk about. Like, there's a lot of traveling, there's a lot of, like, you know, you're sleepy and you're jet lagged and you're tired, it's all of that stuff, but as soon as you step on stage and just have a blast, like, I can just tell my dad loves it. Like, he loves music, and yeah, it's just nice to see that he's enjoying it, you know?
Yeah. So. And now that you're actually on stage again, you've played a handful of shows, you're here in San Francisco, I should note, this is your first time.
Here we are.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of confidence that you can absorb when you're on stage. You let go of all the insecurities and all those things. When you haven't been on stage, where did you find that sense of security and confidence?
You know, it's weird, because I think before you go on stage, for me at least, I feel quite vulnerable. It's weird. It's like there's all of those people out there waiting for the show, and I'm like, wow, like, I've got to live up to these standards kind of thing. Sometimes it's a weird thing. Sometimes I almost think of myself as a product rather than a person before shows, and it's like, they're here to see the music, not the person or whatever. And then I step on, and then like I talk to the people afterwards, and it's like the complete opposite. Like people just want to talk to you and have fun, and then like there's a real nice, like all the people that come to my shows, I've noticed it's like they want to be friends with you. It's just, there's a human element to it. So I always remember that now, and it makes me a lot less nervous. You know, I try and actually talk to people a lot of the time before shows, just say hi and stuff. It makes me less nervous, because I get really bad nerves.
Really?
Yeah, like really.
We just
nervous.
spoke all about this confidence and you know, being self-aware and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
but it's weird. I don't know why, because it's weird because like you were saying, like I'm very self-aware. I'm pretty confident in general to go out and do this kind of stuff, but at the same time, I just still get nervous before I step on stage. And I don't know whether that links to when I was a kid and I used to be very nervous. But perhaps it's just ingrained in my brain because, you know, most of the shows go fine, or perhaps it's because I've had a few crazy tour experiences or whatever, like shows where people are like, you know, when you support a band and nobody knows who you are, so it's really awkward or whatever. But like for the most part, it's like been really fun, and I just need to tell myself that more, I guess, you know, that these people are here to see you, and it's going to be a fun show. So.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to this album.
Oh,
Great to see you in person.
Yeah, I hope you like it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
It's lovely to see you in person.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Alfie Templeman, and you're watching B-Sides.